So yes, Matt is back with the next update, back in the loop conceptually now, since such a lengthy side quest to get solid foundations of my place here established, and it's best to stay abreast. So now requiring a new update status of the art archiving, undertaken here at the Curb Super Farmlet. So this video is continuing to connect the dots as it's coming together, settling down into a group I can really get on. Couldn't go back to Belarus because of war, so instead, being what is the primary subject of this video, I was focused on my cabin here, getting it rebuilt after last year, you know, mad windstorms, huffed and puffed and blew the whole cabin, blasted apart to bits, and now it's actually back in action thanks to the team rebuild. And then, keep up now, once I had decided to forget going overseas this year, I just blew my cash to drop down this awesome container into the scene. Yes, the absolute unit. This thing is definitely not going to blow over. So in the last video, the focus was the garage, retracing that frame earlier from my barn art archive era, my original minimalist diary entries, and now arrived loop back to a similar place, trying to dump these various physical medias into a space, into a building, looking to confront it, and then it starts evolving into an art project thing. But also, it's still the minimalist thing, and thus hence since that barn has been a steady earner for Matt Turner. It's a little bit of magic, and even this cabin and the container fully manifested on this ritualistic site, and how since then I've become intent on this direction. Renting out my house was my most extreme manifestation of a minimalist direction yet. Didn't know exactly where I was going to live at that point, as I figured I'd be on the plane to Belarus by winter. So I just got my house rented out, got my cabin back up. I had ended up in the garage at one point there, both my car and my bed were in the garage, while using the sleep out here as my kitchen. But back then I was seriously thinking about buying a van actually, and living the van life with the garage set up here as my Bat Cave HQ. But I was so focused on trying to get my cabin back up, and that when the war in Ukraine started, it didn't really occur to me that I wasn't just going to cruise back to Minsk to chill over there for summer, but instead I had to stay here in the cold ass cabin all winter, and I spent most of my travel money on the container and my initial solar setup here, because I tell you, I was getting the same vibe from this energy crisis bullshit as when I first bought this place. The times are changing, and you gotta take your action. Just as I gained so much by getting out of the city before COVID came, I had to grab up the solar panels, there was no question. I mean, I knew that it was going to be depressing and cold in the cabin. I only got electricity in one room over there in the sleep out, and you got to understand this shower and laundry here that the fellas all put massive work into. Oh, this was just nasty when I first set up the shower up in here. It was cursed with such a menacing aura, so look how good it all is now. The shower's nice and hot, the laundry all goes, and again, these are slowly ideas I had from in Thailand actually. These outdoor utilities find their manifestation. I see now it's so important to create these sheltered outdoor areas so space remains accessible in the wind, rain, heat, or the good country free living vibe is pretty much diminished. So being understimulated is natural if transitioning to a stress-free life, but being stuck in a little cabin and it's wet and cold is depressing. So next I start getting all kinds of ideas in my head to sell this place, start again, bare land, start from scratch, but I was just so restless trying to transition to the tiny off-grid, low-intensity lifestyle. So games do keep me out of mischief, especially games that make you think, and that's what got me thinking about Tetris. and the powerful minimalist concepts in this classic Russian game. That ever since I started tweeting about Tetrising, my minimalism has leveled up once again. Games model reality. That you just keep rotating all the shapes around in your life, in your head, until they all fit together and disappear. I shifted all my stuff out of the garage just as I'd got my indoor greenhouse cranking with strawberries in the winter. Well, I shut it all down because I was demanding more space and power efficiency. I wanted to get a lot more done, but I hate this war and I needed to have my solar panels. The whole point of being an artist is to do your own thing. There's really no point in doing what I do unless I'm 100 bean about that solar panel life. I'm heading back to the Belarus nation. I mean, that is art. You absolutely have to feel the vibe of what you're doing. What's the point? Last video update I made about my garage situation, it was all trying to cover a lot of the projects I was working on, and I was covering a lot of ground, literally. I get to the point in these minimalist diaries, like over in the barn, that I'm tipping all kinds of stuff that I seem to be hanging on to in these boxes onto the floor and using this as some kind of visual starting point. But it's also about potential being realized within a space. The barn, garage, cabin, container. Because before I was jumping around in a Ninja Turtle costume setting fire to things, and that seems mental, but now I collect decent rent over there. So you got to see how these things start making sense to me, minimizing my lifestyle drastically, radically, and working back from there. Minimalism is all about claiming back the gains from the space that you free up in your mind, in your life, in your garage or whatever the hell. We started from a point of craving simplicity, which is a chance to understand an overview of what it is you are choosing to hold on to, and from a point of craving simplicity, which is a chance to understand an overview of what it is you are choosing to hold on to and keep, and why, and what it really is that you feel you can't just let go of. Now, progressing from physical possessions to actual creative possessions and ideas that you have that structure your life. Get all my old material online so that I can clear it out of my hard drives. Much of what I was pushing with my minimalist diary. Let it go. Exhaust my use of it. Let it be. Make room. The garage, in this context, kind of represents a hard drive. Storage. But I just kept on focusing on streamlining and simplicity intensely. And now, barn, cabin, garage, house, I rented it all out. The big picture depicted here is the wisdom of the fundamental value of all things and how they relate. This is what trading stocks and assets is all about. Perceiving value. A depressing winter in a small cabin quickly exposes you to discomfort that you can't tolerate, and that's exactly when you discover what your priorities are. All kinds of types of rats and birds and bugs all keenly desire access to your abode and to snack freely upon your foodstuffs. This is the core nature of the universe. You need food, they need food. You want to be cozy, they want to be cozy. Now, how is it gonna be? Because having gone so crazy on high tier Tetris energy in this container I bought, I finally reapproached the point in the barn. For me, the challenges are making more sense now, because when I was just tipping everything on the floor and smashing it with a hammer and setting fire to it, I didn't really understand the process that was unfolding. But now I get such a better overview of such zany activity, how the resolution can emerge. You learn to live a less intensive lifestyle with less requirements, and you discover that you need far less possessions. Just like in Tetris, the lines of blocks disappear, and then it's far easier to make sense of what you're dealing with as the basis for your artistic vision. I bought this fucking awesome container, which was a total vibe, and have begun Tetrising this thing out to new levels, to the point I feel I am able to begin reconstructing creatively. My ability to contain myself, so to speak, in this container is really inspiring. All I need to do is lock it up or load it on a truck and go, and that feeling of freedom that emerges from the lifestyle connects with creative inspiration, that I can start pasting all kinds of deconstructed remains to the walls, because I don't want to keep all this crap in boxes. I don't see the point. I want to project these concepts. This is how it's all coming together, and why I need to keep my video diaries across this, because even if I can't run my studio off-grid to a decent standard yet, I'm still advancing in the process by sticking old ripped up posters to the walls, just like when I was setting fire to shit or smashing it with a hammer. This is the process, and it takes as long as it takes. Lifestyle and possessions and creativity are all harmoniously integrating, and of course this is all confusing if you have not been able to take the time to disentangle it all for yourself. But I am able to say that I feel like I am finally getting closer to the point where I have a simple life. I don't know very much, and this means I am able to feel connected to outlets for deeper expression, higher manifestation, high energy. That's what I'm getting towards finally, so hopefully it's going to mean that my super farmlet is going great, my content is rolling out, and I'm returning to my international activities with lots of interesting information and insights to share with you all guys right here on DJ Romantic channel. Till next time, cheers.